My daughter-in-law made me sign a 47-page contract before I could see my newborn grandson. Rules about what I could feed him, how to hold him, what to call myself. Rule 23 said, grandmother must never be alone with baby. I thought she was being overprotective. Then I found out why. But let me start from the beginning, so you understand how I ended up here, a grandmother who sees her own grandson's milestones through Instagram posts, like a stranger. If you're connecting with my story, please hit the like button and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and if you have experienced something like this. I need to know I'm not alone in this. My name is Susan Caldwell. I'm 65 years old, and I was an elementary school teacher for 38 years before I retired. I taught second grade, and I loved every minute of it, the creativity, the energy, watching children learn and grow. I always thought that experience would make me a wonderful grandmother someday. I have one son, Jason. He's 32 years old now, a software developer for a tech company here in Portland, Oregon. Growing up, Jason was a sweet, gentle kid. Maybe too gentle. He hated conflict. Always tried to make everyone happy. Never wanted to rock the boat. His father, my late husband Tom, used to worry that Jason didn't stand up for himself enough. Tom died 6 years ago from a heart attack. Sudden, devastating, the kind of loss that reshapes your entire world. Jason took it hard. He and his father had been close, and I think losing Tom made Jason even more conflict avoidant than before. He didn't want to lose anyone else, so he learned to accommodate, to bend, to keep the peace at all costs. 2 years after Tom died, Jason met Amanda at a tech conference. She was a digital marketing consultant, bright and articulate, with strong opinions about everything. At first, I thought that was good. Jason needed someone with a backbone, someone who could make decisions. What I didn't realize was that strong opinions would eventually mean the only opinions that matter. They dated for a year before Jason proposed. The wedding was small, just immediate family and close friends. I tried to connect with Amanda during the engagement, invited her to lunch, asked about her family, her interests. She was polite but distant, always busy with wedding planning, work projects, her personal brand development, which I later learned meant building her Instagram following. I noticed she didn't talk much about her own family. When I asked about her parents, she'd give vague answers. We're not close. They're very traditional. We don't see eye to eye. I prefer to focus on the family I'm creating, not the one I came from. Red flag number 1. I just didn't recognize it yet. The wedding came and went. Amanda's parents didn't attend, she said. They were dealing with health issues and couldn't travel. I met them briefly via video call during the reception, a stiff, awkward conversation where her mother looked sad and her father looked resigned. At the time, I thought maybe they were just disappointed about missing the wedding. Jason and Amanda settled into married life. They bought a condo in a trendy Portland neighborhood, filled it with minimalist furniture and plants. Amanda's Instagram feed was curated perfection: number blessed, number married life, number home decor. Everything looked beautiful. Everything looked controlled. I saw Jason maybe once a month for lunch, always just the two of us. Amanda was usually too busy to join. Jason seemed happy enough, though sometimes he looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with work. When I asked if everything was okay, he'd smile and say, "Yeah, Mom, everything's great. Amanda's just really focused on her career right now." Then, 18 months ago, Jason called me with the news. "Mom, Amanda's pregnant. You're going to be a grandmother," I cried. Happy tears, overwhelming joy, the kind of pure elation that makes you forget everything else. After Tom died, I'd wondered if I'd ever experience joy like that again. And here it was. A grandchild. A second chance to love and nurture and be part of someone's growing up. "Oh, Jason, that's wonderful. How far along is she?" 12 weeks. We wanted to wait until we were past the first trimester to tell people. "How is she feeling? Is she excited?" "She's good. A little stressed about how it'll affect her work and her platform. But yeah, she's excited. Her platform. Even then I should have known." Over the next 6 months, Amanda's pregnancy became content. Every doctor's appointment, every ultrasound photo, every nursery design decision was documented and posted. Her followers grew 100K, 200K, 300K. She started calling herself a prenatal wellness influencer, posting about organic nutrition, toxin-free products, the importance of a conscious pregnancy. I offered to help with the nursery, to buy things for the baby, to be involved. Amanda politely declined every offer. We're doing a very minimalist, Montessori-inspired nursery. I have a specific vision. I've created a registry with only pre-approved, non-toxic items. It's important to me that Oliver, they decided on the name early, isn't exposed to harmful chemicals. I appreciate the offer, but Jason and I want to do this ourselves. It's important for our bonding as parents. Everything was important to her. Everything had to be her way. Jason would call me separately and apologize. Mom, don't take it personally. Amanda's just really particular. You know how first-time moms can be. But I'd taught hundreds of first-time mothers over the years, and I'd never seen anything like this. Amanda went into labor on a Tuesday in March, 3 weeks before her due date. Jason called me from the hospital. Mom, the baby's coming. Amanda's in labor. I'm on my way. Actually, he paused. Amanda wants the birth to be just us. She says it's an intimate moment and she needs to focus. But I'll call you as soon as he's born, I promise. I was hurt but tried to understand. Birth is intense and personal. Maybe she needed privacy. I waited at home, checking my phone every 5 minutes, my heart racing with anticipation. Oliver Thomas Caldwell was born at 11:47 p.m., weighing 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Jason sent a photo, a tiny, perfect face, eyes closed, wrapped in a hospital blanket. My grandson, my beautiful grandson. He's perfect, Jason. Congratulations. When can I meet him? Amanda wants to rest tonight and tomorrow. She says visitors are too stimulating for the baby. Maybe Thursday? Thursday came. I arrived at the hospital with flowers, a stuffed animal, and a flowers, children's book that had been Jason's favorite when he was little. The nurse directed me to Amanda's room. I knocked softly and entered. Amanda was sitting up in bed, looking exhausted but put together, hairbrushed, light makeup on. Even in the hospital, she was camera ready. Jason sat in a chair beside her, holding Oliver. Hi, sweetheart, I said to Jason, then turned to Amanda. And congratulations, Amanda. How are you feeling? Tired, she said. But we're doing well. Oliver is perfect. He latched right away. No issues with breastfeeding. His APGAR scores were 9 and 9. I moved closer to see Oliver. He was awake, his tiny eyes trying to focus, his little fingers curled into fists. I felt tears spring to my eyes. Oh, Jason, he's beautiful. He looks just like you did. Want to hold him? Jason started to stand. Actually, Amanda's voice cut in. I'd prefer if we waited. Oliver needs skin-to-skin time with his parents right now. It's crucial for bonding. Maybe later. I froze, arms half extended. Jason looked uncomfortable but sat back down. Of course, I managed. Whatever's best for the baby. I spent 30 minutes in that hospital room, making small talk, watching my son hold my grandson, not allowed to touch him. When I finally left, Amanda called after me. Susan, before you come to the house, there are some things we should discuss. Guidelines, really. For grandparent interaction. I'll email you something to review. Guidelines? Just to make sure we're all on the same page about Oliver's care. I'm sure you understand. I didn't understand, but I said, of course. Anyway, the email arrived that night. Subject line: Grandparent Guidelines for Oliver's Care and Development. I opened it, expecting maybe a page of basic information: feeding schedule, sleep routine, that kind of thing. Instead, I found a 47-page PDF document. 47 pages. I sat at my kitchen table and started reading, my coffee getting cold as I scrolled through page after page of rules, requirements, and restrictions. Section 1. Names and titles. Grandparents will refer to themselves by their first names. Susan, not grandma, Nana. Reasoning. We want Oliver to see all adults as equals, not authority figures. Traditional titles create hierarchies. Section 2. Physical contact. All physical contact with Oliver must be approved in advance. No kissing germs and boundary violation, holding only when parents are present. No tossing, tickling, or rough play can be traumatic. Section 3. Language prohibited phrases. Spoiled, bad boy, naughty, my baby, just like his daddy. Boys will be boys. Big boy, good job, approved. Phrases. I see you're feeling frustrated. That's a choice you made. How can I support you? Section 4. Gifts. All gifts must be pre-approved from registry. No plastic toys, toxins. No battery-operated toys, overstimulation. No licensed character merchandise, promotes consumerism. No gifts related to gender stereotypes. Section 5. Food only approved organic. Foods from specified list. No sugar until age 5. No processed foods, ever. No food used as reward or comfort. Section 6. Photos and social media. Grandparents may not post photos of Oliver without written permission. No photos containing unapproved products or backgrounds. All photos must align with family's aesthetic. Amanda manages Oliver's image and digital footprint. Section 7. Visits. Visits must be scheduled 48 hours in advance. Maximum duration, 90 minutes. Frequency, twice monthly. All visits supervised by parent. Visits may be shortened or canceled if Oliver shows signs of overstimulation. Section 8. Boundaries. Grandparents will not question parenting decisions. Grandparents will not offer unsolicited advice. Grandparents will respect that parents' word is final. Violation of boundaries will result in reduced access. And Rule 23, buried in Section 8. Grandparents will never be alone with Oliver. Never. Not for 5 minutes while parents use the bathroom. Not ever. I read the document 3 times, certain I was misunderstanding something. But no, this was real. These were actual rules my daughter-in-law expected me to follow. At the bottom of the document was a signature line with instructions to print, sign, and return before my first visit to their home. I called Jason immediately. "Did you read the email Amanda sent?" "Oh yeah, the guidelines. Pretty thorough, right?" He laughed nervously. "Jason, this is insane. 47 pages of rules? I can't call myself grandma? I can't be alone with my own grandson?" "Mom, it's not that bad. Amanda just wants to make sure everyone's on the same page. She's read a lot about gentle parenting, and this isn't gentle parenting. This is control." "Don't say that." His voice got sharper. "Amanda's been through a lot with her own family. She's just trying to do things differently, better. Can you please just go along with it? For me? For Oliver?" And there it was, the same pattern I'd seen for years. Jason, avoiding conflict. Jason, asking me to accommodate. Jason, unable to stand up to his wife. "What happens if I don't sign this?" I asked. Silence on the other end. Then quietly, "Mom, please don't make this difficult. Just sign it. It's not that big a deal." But it was a big deal. It was everything. I signed the document because the alternative was not seeing my grandson at all. I printed it out, wrote my signature, scanned it, and emailed it back. It felt like signing away my rights, my relationship, my role as a grandmother. Amanda responded within the hour. "Thank you for your cooperation. You may visit Saturday at 2 p.m. Please arrive on time. Visit will conclude at 3:30 p.m. 90 minutes. Once every 2 weeks. Supervised, with a list of rules longer than most employment contracts." That Saturday, I drove to their condo with a knot in my stomach. I'd brought nothing, no gifts, no food, nothing that might violate the guidelines. Just myself. Amanda answered the door, Oliver in a baby carrier strapped to her chest. She looked perfect, as always. Athleisure outfit, hair in a casual ponytail, light makeup, camera ready. "Hi, Susan. Come in. Please leave your shoes by the door. We're trying to minimize toxins Oliver is exposed to." I took off my shoes and followed her into the living room. Jason was there, looking tired. He gave me a hug. "Hey, Mom, good to see you. Can I hold him?" I asked, looking at Oliver's little face peeking out from the carrier. "Let me just finish feeding him," Amanda said. "He's due for a feeding right now. I'm exclusively breastfeeding, so it'll be about 20 minutes. I sat on their pristine couch and waited. Amanda nursed Oliver while scrolling through her phone with one hand, presumably checking comments on her latest Instagram post. Jason made awkward small talk about work. After Oliver was fed, burped, and changed, a process. Amanda narrated like a documentary. "See how I'm validating his experience? I'm telling him exactly what I'm doing, so he feels respected." She finally handed him to me. "Support his head, not too tight. And please don't kiss him." I held my grandson for the first time. He was warm and solid and perfect, his tiny fingers wrapping around mine, his eyes trying to focus on my face. I felt that overwhelming surge of love that grandparents describe, that connection that transcends everything else. And I had exactly 12 minutes with him before Amanda decided it was overstimulating and took him back. My 90-minute visit included 12 minutes holding Oliver, 20 minutes watching Amanda nurse, 15 minutes listening to Amanda explain her parenting philosophy, 10 minutes of Amanda showing me products she was partnering with on Instagram, 23 minutes of awkward conversation while Oliver napped 10 minutes of Amanda, subtly correcting everything I said. Actually, we don't use the word fussy. We say, Oliver is communicating a need. At 3:30 exactly, Amanda stood up. Well, this has been nice, but Oliver needs his routine. Same time in 2 weeks? I was being dismissed. Like an appointment that had run its course, I hugged Jason goodbye and left. In my car, I sat in their parking lot and cried. This was my reality now. This was what being a grandmother meant in Amanda's world. And the worst part? I had no idea it was about to get so much worse. Over the next 6 months, I saw Oliver exactly 12 times, 90 minutes every 2 weeks, always supervised, always controlled, always documented. Because that was the other thing I discovered. Amanda was filming everything. Not obviously. She'd have her phone propped on a shelf, angled to capture the living room, or she'd wear Oliver in the carrier with her phone tucked in the pocket, camera lens visible. She called it documenting Oliver's journey, but I knew what it really was. Surveillance, evidence, ammunition. Every visit followed the same script. I'd arrive exactly on time, not a minute early, not a minute late. Amanda would greet me at the door with a checklist of Oliver's current needs. When he'd last eaten, how long he'd slept, what developmental milestone she was currently supporting. I'd sit in the designated chair, the one in frame of whatever camera she had running, and I'd wait for permission to interact with my grandson. Holding Oliver required negotiation. He's just eaten, so we need to wait 15 minutes for digestion. He's entering a sensitive period for independent play. His nervous system needs regulation before being passed to another person. Every normal grandparent instinct I had was pathologized as potentially harmful. When Oliver cried and I reached for him, actually, Susan, we're practicing self-soothing. It's important not to rush in and rescue him. When I tried to play peek-a-boo, that game can be overstimulating for his developing brain. We prefer gentle, predictable interactions. When I sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we're using more complex vocabulary with Oliver. Children's songs can limit language development. Jason sat through these visits, looking increasingly uncomfortable, but saying nothing. Occasionally, he'd try to soften Amanda's corrections. Mom's just trying to help, babe, but Amanda would shoot him a look, and he'd retreat into silence. My friends told me I was being too accommodating. My neighbor Eleanor, who'd raised 4 children and had 9 grandchildren, was horrified when I described the situation. Susan, this is insane. You need to talk to Jason. Really talk to him. I have. He just says Amanda's particular and I should be patient. Patient? You've been patient for 6 months. You're his mother. You have rights. But did I? Grandparents have no legal rights in Oregon unless they can prove the parents are unfit. And Amanda, for all her control issues, wasn't unfit. She was attentive, educated about child development, financially stable. The fact that she was also rigid, controlling, and isolating didn't meet the legal threshold. I was trapped. If I pushed back, I'd lose access completely. So I kept signing in for my 90-minute appointments like a visitor to a prison, watching my grandson grow up in carefully curated Instagram posts between our supervised visits. Then came the incident that changed everything. It was a Wednesday in September, right after Oliver's 6-month birthday. Amanda called me that morning, which was unusual. We only communicated via email, scheduled messages, never spontaneous calls. Susan, I have a medical appointment this afternoon and Jason's stuck in a meeting he can't reschedule. Can you watch Oliver for 2 hours? I know it's short notice. Watch Oliver. Alone. For 2 hours. My heart leaped. Of course. I'd be happy to. I'll need to leave the nanny cam on so I can check in. And I'll send detailed instructions for his schedule. He'll need a bottle at 2:30. I've pumped milk. It's in the fridge. Instructions for warming are in the email I'm sending now. Amanda, I know how to warm a bottle. I raised Jason. Things have changed since the 80s, Susan. Please follow my instructions. Exactly. The email arrived within minutes. 3 pages of instructions for 2 hours of babysitting. Bottle warming temperature, exactly 98 degrees. Tested with thermometer, never microwave. Approved activities, tummy time on organic cotton mat, reading from approved board book list, gentle music from specific playlist. Prohibited activities, television, any music, not on playlist. Food other than specified milk, allowing Oliver to cry for more than 30 seconds. At the bottom, nanny cam will be recording. I'll be checking in periodically. Please don't move Oliver to rooms without cameras. I should have seen it coming. But I was so excited to finally have real time with Oliver, even surveilled time, that I ignored the warning signs. Amanda dropped Oliver off at 1 p.m. She spent 15 minutes showing me everything I needed to know, even though she'd sent the detailed email. She tested the nanny cams. There were 3 living room, kitchen, nursery, made sure her phone app was working, and finally, reluctantly, left. The door closed. Oliver and I were alone. He was sitting in his bouncer, watching me with those big, curious eyes that reminded me so much of Jason at that age. I knelt down next to him. "Hi, sweet boy. It's just you and me for a little while. Should we have some fun?" I know Amanda said no talking to him like he was a baby, but he was a baby. My grandson. And for 2 hours, I was going to be his grandmother, not Susan, the supervised visitor. We did tummy time. I read him Goodnight Moon, which wasn't on the approved list. But it was a classic, harmless, beautiful. I sang to him, real songs from my childhood, watching his face light up at the melodies. At 2:30, I warmed his bottle exactly to specification. I settled into the rocking chair, the one in the living room, in view of the nanny cam, and fed him, watching his little hands grip the bottle, his eyes getting heavy as he drank. He fell asleep in my arms. That perfect, peaceful baby sleep, his breath soft against my chest, his body warm and trusting. I sat there, afraid to move, afraid to break the spell. This was what I'd been missing. This was what being a grandmother was supposed to feel like. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "Is he taking the bottle okay?" I shifted Oliver slightly to text back. "Yes, he's doing great. Just fell asleep." "Good. Put him in his crib for nap. Don't let him sleep on you, creates bad sleep associations." I looked at Oliver. So peaceful, so content. Just 5 more minutes, I thought. 5 minutes of holding my sleeping grandson wasn't going to create bad habits. I didn't put him in the crib. Instead, I kept holding him, rocking gently, savoring these stolen moments of normalcy. I started humming not a song from Amanda's approved playlist, just a lullaby from my own childhood. "Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop." Oliver stirred slightly, sighed, settled deeper into sleep. I didn't know Amanda was watching the nanny cam feed in real time. I didn't know she was recording. I didn't know that my 5 minutes of normal grandmothering was about to become evidence of my toxic behavior. At 3, Amanda burst through the door. I'd been so absorbed in watching Oliver sleep that I hadn't heard her car pull up. "What are you doing?" Her voice was sharp, startling Oliver awake. He began to cry. "I'm just holding him." He fell asleep. "I told you to put him in his crib. You're creating sleep associations that will take weeks to undo." She snatched Oliver from my arms. He was crying harder now, confused by the sudden movement and his mother's agitation. "Amanda." He was peaceful. I didn't want to disturb him. "And what were you singing? Was that Rock-a-bye, baby?" She was bouncing Oliver, trying to calm him while simultaneously glaring at me. "Do you have any idea what that song is about? A baby falling from a tree. It's violent and traumatic. It's a lullaby. It's been sung to babies for generations." "Exactly, generations of trauma. I specifically sent you the approved music playlist. Did you use it?" "No, Did you read him?" "Books from the approved list?" I hesitated. I read him Goodnight Moon. "That's not on the list. That book uses diminutive language that limits vocabulary development." "Amanda, it's a children's classic. There's nothing wrong with, I decide what's appropriate for my son, not you." Oliver was screaming now, picking up on his mother's stress. Amanda turned away from me, walking toward the nursery. "I think you should leave." "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Just go. I'll call you when I'm ready for you to visit again." I left. I drove home in a daze, my arms still feeling the weight of Oliver's sleeping body, my ears still hearing Amanda's fury. I waited for Jason to call. He didn't. That evening, I got a text from Amanda. I need some space to process what happened today. I'll contact you when I'm ready to resume visits. 1 week passed, 2 weeks, a month. No contact. My bi-weekly visits disappeared. I texted Jason asking if we could talk. He responded, "Amanda's really upset, Mom. Just give her time." 6 weeks after the incident, I was having coffee with Eleanor when she suddenly gasped, staring at her phone. "Susan, you need to see this." She turned her phone toward me. It was a TikTok video, Amanda's account, which I'd been following to catch glimpses of Oliver. The video showed footage from the nanny cam. Me, holding sleeping Oliver, rocking him, singing "Rock-a-bye, baby." The audio was clear. Then a cut to Amanda, speaking directly to the camera. "So this happened today." I asked my mother-in-law to watch Oliver while I went to a doctor's appointment. I sent her detailed instructions, 3 pages of his schedule, his routine, his needs. I have cameras in my home for safety, and I check them periodically to make sure everything's okay. Cut back to the nanny cam footage. What I saw absolutely broke my heart. Despite my explicit instructions to follow Oliver's nap routine and use the approved music playlist, she decided she knew better. She kept him sleeping on her, which creates unhealthy sleep associations we've spent months working to avoid. And then she sang him a song about a baby falling from a tree and dying. Cut to Amanda's face, eyes glistening with tears. This is what so many of us deal with as mothers. Family members who think our boundaries are suggestions, who think their way is better than our carefully researched, trauma-informed parenting choices, who undermine us at every turn. She never said my name. She didn't have to. The video had 2.3 million views. The comment section was a war zone. Toxic grandma energy. Cut her off. She doesn't respect you. This is why I don't let my MIL babysit. Your boundaries are valid. Protect your baby. But there were other comments too. This seems extreme. She's just rocking the baby? Rock-a-bye baby is literally the most famous lullaby ever. Maybe grandma was just trying to bond with her grandson? Am I the only one who thinks this mom is controlling? Those comments were quickly drowned out by Amanda's defenders. Her followers, now over 600,000, rallied around her, calling me toxic, boundary-stomping, disrespectful. My phone started ringing. My sister, my neighbors, former colleagues from the school where I'd taught. Everyone had seen the video. No one knew it was me at first, but in a town like Portland, word spreads fast. By evening, someone had identified me in the comments. By the next morning, I had strangers sending me messages on Facebook, calling me a terrible grandmother, telling me I deserved to be cut off, that I was the problem. I was being publicly shamed by millions of people for singing a lullaby to my grandson. Jason finally called that night. "Mom, why didn't you just follow Amanda's instructions?" Not, "I'm sorry you're being attacked online." Not, "Amanda shouldn't have posted that video." Just blame. "Jason, I held my sleeping grandson for 5 extra minutes. That's all I did." You know how important Oliver's sleep schedule is to Amanda. You know she's been working on his routine. He's a baby. Babies don't follow perfect schedules. They need love and comfort, and they need parents who can trust that their boundaries will be respected. His voice rose, defensive. "Mom, Amanda feels violated. You were in our home, with our son, and you completely disregarded her wishes. I sang him a lullaby. You sang him a song she specifically asked you not to sing. A song about a baby dying. How is that appropriate? It's not about a baby dying. I stopped myself. This was useless." Jason was so deep in Amanda's worldview that he couldn't see how absurd this was. "Are you really okay with her posting that video? With her putting me on blast to millions of people?" "She didn't use your name. She didn't have to. Everyone in my life has seen it now. I'm getting hate messages from strangers, Jason. Your wife has turned me into a viral villain for the crime of rocking your son to sleep." Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, "Maybe if you'd just respected her boundaries, none of this would have happened." And there it was. In Jason's mind, this was my fault. I'd brought this on myself by being a bad grandmother, a boundary violator, a problem to be managed. "When can I see Oliver again?" I asked. "I don't know. Amanda needs time." "How much time?" "I don't know, Mom. As much as she needs. I have to support my wife. I'm your mother. And Amanda is my wife and Oliver's mother." She gets to decide who has access to our son. The call ended. I sat in my living room, in the house where I'd raised Jason, where Tom and I had built our life, and I realized I'd lost my grandson. Not to distance or death or circumstances beyond anyone's control. I'd lost him to a 47-page contract, a viral TikTok video, and a son who couldn't stand up to his wife. Eleanor came over later that night, bringing wine and fury. "This is insane, Susan. You need to fight back. Get a lawyer. Sue for grandparent visitation rights." "On what grounds? That Amanda's mean to me? That's not illegal. She's alienating you from your grandson. She's exercising her rights as a parent. Legally, she can decide who sees Oliver." I'd already looked into it. Grandparent rights in Oregon required proving that visitation was in the child's best interest and that denial of visitation would harm the child. Amanda's lawyer, because of course she had one on retainer, would argue that I was the harmful influence, that my boundary violations justified the cutoff. So what are you going to do? Just give up? I don't know, and I truly didn't. But I couldn't stop thinking about something Eleanor had said weeks ago. Amanda's been through a lot with her own family. Amanda never talked about her family. She'd mentioned they weren't close, but she'd never explained why. At the wedding, her parents had looked sad, resigned, like they'd been through this before. I opened my laptop and did something I probably should have done years ago. I Googled Amanda's maiden name, Amanda Patricia Morrison. Social media profiles came up first, her Instagram, her TikTok, her LinkedIn. All carefully curated, all showing the same perfect life. But then I found something else. I saw a Reddit post shared in a support group 3 years ago. The post title, "My daughter cut me off, and I don't know why." The username, Patricia Mom 2. I clicked on it. My daughter Amanda, 27, has stopped all contact with me and her father. We used to be close, or so I thought. She'd call every week, visit for holidays. Then she met her boyfriend Jason 2 years ago, and everything changed. She started setting boundaries about how we could interact with her. We couldn't ask about her relationship, couldn't offer advice, couldn't visit without 48 hours notice. Every conversation became a minefield, one wrong word, and she'd accuse us of not respecting her autonomy. We tried to follow her rules, but there were so many and they kept changing. 6 months ago, she told us she was getting married. We were happy for her, but asked if we could help with planning. She said we were being controlling and cut off all contact. She got married last month and we weren't invited. I saw the photos on Facebook. I don't know what we did wrong. I don't know how to fix this. I just want my daughter back. The post was from exactly 3 years ago, right around the time Amanda and Jason got engaged. I scrolled through the comments. Other parents sharing similar stories. Children who'd been influenced by partners, therapy, online communities that promoted cutting off toxic family members. Children who'd rewritten their childhood histories to justify the estrangement. And there, buried in the comments, Patricia Mom 2 had replied to someone, "I think a lot of it is her new boyfriend's influence. She never talked about boundaries like this before she met him. Now everything we do is toxic or controlling. I'm terrified about what will happen if they have children. Will I ever meet my grandchildren?" My heart broke for this woman. This mother who'd lost her daughter to the same rigid, controlling behavior I was experiencing now. I needed to talk to her. I created a Reddit account and sent Patricia Mom 2 a private message. "I know this is unusual, but I think your daughter Amanda might have married my son Jason. I'm going through something very similar with my grandson. Would you be willing to talk?" I hit send and waited, not sure if she'd respond, not sure if this was even the same person. 3 hours later, my phone buzzed with a notification. Patricia Mom 2 had replied, "Yes, I'm Amanda's mother, Patricia, and I'm so sorry you're going through this too. Can we meet?" We arranged to meet the next day at a coffee shop in Beaverton, far enough from Portland that we wouldn't run into anyone we knew. Patricia Morrison was 62, with graying blonde hair and Amanda's hazel eyes. When she saw me, those eyes filled with tears. "I hoped I was wrong," she said as we sat down with our coffees. "I hoped she wouldn't do this to Jason's mother too. So this is a pattern? Oh, Susan, this is what Amanda does. It's what she's always done. But it's gotten so much worse since she discovered this whole boundaries and trauma-informed parenting philosophy online. Over the next 2 hours, Patricia told me everything. Amanda had always been a controlling child, particular about her things, rigid about rules and routines, unable to handle any deviation from her plans. As she got older, it manifested as perfectionism, perfect grades, perfect behavior, perfect appearance. We thought she'd grow out of it, Patricia said. Her therapist said it was anxiety, that she needed control because she felt powerless. We tried to help her, got her into therapy, but she refused to do the work. Instead, she found online communities that validated her control issues as healthy boundaries. Amanda's first serious relationship had ended when her boyfriend couldn't handle her rules anymore. The second relationship ended the same way. Then she met Jason. And Jason's sweet, isn't he? Patricia said sadly. Gentle, conflict avoidant, the perfect partner for someone like Amanda, because he'll never stand up to her. That's my son, I said bitterly. When Amanda got pregnant, I was so happy. I thought maybe becoming a mother would soften her, help her understand that you can't control everything. Instead, it made her worse. Patricia pulled out her phone and showed me emails, the same kind of detailed instructions I'd received, but worse. A 62-page grandparent contract that Patricia and her husband had been expected to sign before meeting their first grandchild, Oliver's older half-brother from Amanda's first marriage. Wait, I said. Amanda has another child? Patricia nodded. Lucas. He's 5 now. From her first marriage to David Watson. That relationship ended the same way David couldn't handle Amanda's control. They had a custody battle. David has Lucas most of the time now because the judge could see how rigid and damaging Amanda's parenting style was. This was information I'd never heard. Jason had never mentioned that Amanda had been married before, that Oliver had an older half-brother. Does Jason know about Lucas? I asked. I don't know. Amanda's very good at compartmentalizing her life, telling different stories to different people. She might have told Jason that David was abusive and she had to flee, or that he abandoned them, or any number of lies. The truth is that David fought for custody and won because he could prove Amanda's parenting was harmful. If a judge already ruled against her parenting, can't that help me? Patricia shook her head. Different state, sealed records, and it was years ago. And now Amanda's learned. She's more careful. Everything she does is technically within her rights. She's not hitting the children. She's not neglecting them. She's just controlling every single aspect of their lives in a way that looks like devoted parenting but is actually damaging them. Have you met Oliver? I asked. No. Amanda cut us off completely when she got pregnant. I've only seen photos online. The same photos you've probably seen, the curated Instagram life where everything looks perfect. We sat in silence for a moment, 2 grandmothers united in grief and exclusion. What do I do? I finally asked. You can't fix Amanda. Believe me, I've tried for 30 years. Therapy, conversations, boundaries of my own, nothing works. She doesn't think there's anything wrong with her. In her mind, we're the problem. We're too traditional, too controlling, too unwilling to respect her expertise. But I can't just give up on Oliver. He's my grandson. I know. But Susan, you need to understand, fighting Amanda will only make things worse. She'll cut you off completely, turn Jason against you, maybe even get a restraining order if you push hard enough. I've seen her do it to other people who challenged her. So I just accept it? Never see my grandson again? You maintain whatever contact Jason allows. You document everything in case things change legally. And you prepare yourself for the possibility that this might never get better. Patricia's voice cracked. I haven't seen my grandson in 3 years. That's my reality. And it might become yours, too. I left that meeting feeling worse than when I'd arrived. At least before, I'd had hope that maybe Amanda would soften over time, that maybe this was just new mother anxiety that would fade. Now I knew the truth. This wasn't going to get better. This was who Amanda was. And as long as Jason stayed with her, as long as he chose peace over confrontation, I was going to be the collateral damage. That night, Jason called. My heart leaped. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe he'd stood up to Amanda. Maybe we could fix this. Mom, Amanda's willing to let you see Oliver again. Really? When? But there are conditions. Of course there were. You need to take a grandparenting class. Amanda found one online. 8 weeks. It's about respectful parenting and respecting boundaries. It's $400. And when you're done, you'll need to sign a new contract, the updated version, with stricter guidelines, and you'll be on probation for 6 months. Any violation and you're cut off permanently. A. Grandparenting class. $400. 8 weeks of being taught how to be a grandmother to my own grandson. And if I don't do this, then Amanda doesn't feel comfortable having you around, Oliver. She says she needs to protect him from people who don't respect her parenting. I had a choice. Humiliate myself by taking the class, signing the contract, accepting that I was the problem, or refuse and lose Oliver completely. I need to think about it. Mom, don't take too long. Amanda's giving you a chance here. Don't waste it. After he hung up, I sat in my kitchen, the same kitchen where I'd made Jason's lunch for school every day, where I'd taught him to bake cookies, where we'd had countless conversations about his hopes and dreams. And I thought about what kind of man I'd raised. A man who couldn't stand up for his own mother. A man who'd let his wife publicly shame me to millions of people and thought I deserved it. A man who was asking me to pay $400 and spend 8 weeks being re-educated about my inadequacies as a grandmother. I thought about Oliver, growing up in Amanda's controlled environment, never knowing authentic connection, never experiencing the warmth and chaos and imperfection of real family love. And I thought about myself. About my dignity, about what I was willing to sacrifice, and what I needed to preserve to remain whole. I made my decision. I didn't take the grandparenting class. I know that probably shocks some of you watching this. Maybe you think I should have swallowed my pride, paid the $400, sat through 8 weeks of being told everything I was doing wrong, signed whatever new contract Amanda drafted. Maybe you think any price is worth paying to see your grandchild, and maybe you're right. Maybe I'll regret this decision for the rest of my life. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't participate in a system designed to humiliate me, to pathologize normal grandparent love, to turn my relationship with my grandson into a performance, evaluated and controlled by someone who saw me as a threat rather than family. So I called Jason and told him my decision. I'm not taking the class. Silence on the other end. Then, Mom, why are you being so stubborn about this? It's 8 weeks. That's nothing. It's not about the time, Jason. It's about what it represents. I'm a good person. I was a good mother to you. I'm not toxic or boundary stomping or any of the things Amanda's followers called me in those comments. I held my grandson while he slept and sang him a lullaby. That's not abuse. That's love. But you didn't follow Amanda's instructions. Her instructions were unreasonable. Jason, can you hear yourself? Your wife posted a video of me to millions of people, let strangers attack me online, and now she's demanding I pay for a class that will teach me I was wrong for showing affection to my own grandson. And you think that's okay? I think Amanda has the right to set boundaries for her child, and I have the right to maintain my dignity. I won't be re-educated like I'm some kind of problem that needs fixing. I love you, and I love Oliver, but I can't do this. So, you're choosing your pride over your grandson? The accusation stung because part of me wondered if he was right. Was I being selfish? Was my dignity worth missing Oliver's childhood? But then I thought about Patricia Morrison, who'd bent over backwards to accommodate Amanda's rules, who'd signed the contracts and taken the classes and done everything asked of her. And she still hadn't seen her grandson in 3 years. Because with people like Amanda, there was no amount of compliance that would ever be enough. The goalposts would always move. The rules would always change. And I'd spend the rest of my life walking on eggshells, one minor violation away from being cut off anyway. I'm choosing to love myself enough not to accept abuse, I said. If that means I don't get to see Oliver, then that's the consequence I'll have to live with. But I won't pay money to be told I'm a bad grandmother when I know I'm not. Jason was quiet for a long time. Then, I have to support my wife. I know you do, and I understand that. But Jason, please hear me. What Amanda is doing isn't healthy. Not for me, not for you, and not for Oliver. She's isolated you from your family, controlled every aspect of your life, and you've let her because you're afraid of conflict. But someday, Oliver is going to grow up, and he's going to either accept this level of control as normal, or he's going to rebel against it. Either way, he's being damaged. Don't tell me how to raise my son. I'm not. I'm telling you what I see as someone who loves you both. Amanda needs help, Jason. Real help. Therapy that actually addresses her control issues, not therapy that validates them as boundaries. But she won't get that help until someone she loves refuses to enable her anymore. So this is about trying to force Amanda into therapy? That's what this is? No. This is about me refusing to participate in my own humiliation. What you and Amanda do is up to you, but I'm done. Fine. His voice was cold now, distant. I'll tell Amanda you're not interested in following her guidelines. Don't expect to hear from us. Can I still see you? Just you? For lunch sometimes? A pause. Yeah, I guess. But don't ask me about Oliver. And don't try to change my mind about Amanda. I just want to maintain a relationship with my son. Okay. I'll text you. The call ended. I sat there feeling like I'd just lost everything while simultaneously reclaiming something important. My sense of self, my boundaries, my refusal to be gaslit into believing that normal grandparent love was somehow harmful. Eleanor came over that evening. I told her what happened. You did the right thing, she said firmly. That woman was abusing you, Susan. Maybe not in a way that leaves bruises, but emotional abuse is still abuse. But what about Oliver? He's going to grow up not knowing me. He's going to see photos of me someday, and Amanda will tell him I chose not to be involved, that I didn't care enough to follow simple rules. Or he'll grow up and seek you out himself. He'll ask questions. He'll see through her control eventually. And when he does, you'll be here. He might be 20 before that happens, or 30, or never. I know. Eleanor squeezed my hand. I know it's not fair. But you can't set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. You can't destroy your mental health and self-respect trying to maintain a relationship with someone who sees you as the enemy. Over the next few weeks, I grieved. Not the dramatic, acute grief of death, but the chronic, grinding grief of ambiguous loss. Oliver was alive, healthy, growing. I could see that in Amanda's Instagram posts. But he was lost to me as surely as if he died. I watched her posts obsessively at first. Oliver's first tooth. Oliver trying solid foods, all organic, naturally. Oliver's 6-month professional photo shoot, perfectly styled, perfectly lit, perfectly curated. The comments were always glowing. You're such an amazing mama. Oliver is so lucky to have you. Your dedication to gentle parenting is inspiring. No one knew about the 47-page contracts, the surveillance cameras, the public shaming of family members who dared to rock a baby or sing a lullaby. No one saw behind the Instagram feed to the control and rigidity that made real relationships impossible. Jason and I met for lunch once a month. He'd chosen a restaurant halfway between our homes, neutral territory. We'd talk about his work, my volunteer activities at the library, safe topics that didn't touch on the wound between us. I never asked about Oliver directly, but sometimes Jason would mention him. Oliver's crawling now. Oliver said his first word, Dada. Each update was a small gift and a fresh reminder of what I was missing. One day, about 4 months after I'd refused the grandparenting class, Jason looked different, tired in a way that went beyond physical exhaustion. Are you okay? I asked. Yeah, it's a lot. Work is intense, and Amanda's really stressed about Oliver hitting his milestones. She's worried he's not pulling himself up to stand yet, even though he's only 8 months old. She's researching physical therapy programs and special exercises. Jason, 8 months is perfectly normal for not standing yet. Some babies don't walk until 15 months. I know. I told her that. But she's convinced that early intervention is crucial, that we can't waste his developmental window. He rubbed his face. And she's planning his first birthday party. It's going to be this huge thing, professional photographer, Pinterest-perfect decorations, a cake smash, photo shoot. She's been planning it for 2 months already. That sounds stressful. It is. Everything is stressful. Everything has to be perfect. Sometimes I just want to have a relaxed day at home, you know? Order pizza, watch a movie. But Amanda says pizza isn't approved for Oliver's presence because of the smell, exposure, and screen time is developmentally inappropriate even if Oliver isn't watching. I wanted to say, this isn't normal. This isn't healthy. You don't have to live like this. But I'd promised not to try to change his mind about Amanda. That does sound exhausting, I said carefully. Sometimes I think about Dad, Jason said suddenly, about how he'd handle all this. He was always so calm, you know? Nothing rattled him. Your father would have loved being a grandfather. He would have wanted to toss Oliver in the air and teach him to fish and let him make messes. Jason smiled sadly. Amanda would have hated that. Yes, she would have. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Jason said, "Her parents reached out to me." My heart jumped. "Patricia?" "Yeah. She sent me an email. Said she'd met you. That you'd talked about Amanda's patterns. She wanted me to know about Amanda's first marriage, about Lucas. Did you know about Lucas before?" Amanda told me she'd been married before, that her ex-husband was abusive and got custody because he had better lawyers. She said her parents took his side. That's why she cut them off. And now you know that's not true? Patricia sent me court documents, custody evaluation reports. They don't paint Amanda as a victim, they paint her as... He stopped, struggling with the words, controlling, rigid, emotionally damaging to Lucas. What are you going to do with that information? I don't know. When I tried to talk to Amanda about it, she said her parents are liars, that they're trying to turn me against her, that this is exactly why she cut them off. She cried and said if I believed them over her, she didn't know if she could stay married to me. The threat was clear. Believe Amanda's version of reality, or lose your family. I'm not going to tell you what to do, I said. But I'll tell you what I see. I see my son, who used to love spontaneity and fun, becoming anxious and controlled. I see you walking on eggshells in your own home. I see you defending behavior that you know is hurting people, including yourself. And I see you about to lose everyone who truly loves you because Amanda has made it clear it's her way or nothing. She's my wife, Oliver's mother. I can't just leave. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you should demand couples counseling. Real counseling with a therapist who'll challenge both of you, not validate whatever Amanda wants to hear. I'm saying you should set some boundaries of your own. I'm saying you should remember that marriage is supposed to be partnership, not dictatorship. If I push back, she'll leave. She'll take Oliver. I'll end up like David, fighting for custody and maybe losing. Or you'll end up like David, free from someone who makes your life miserable. With shared custody of a son, you can actually relax around without being monitored and criticized constantly. Jason looked at me with something like fear. I can't lose Oliver. You're already losing yourself. Our lunch ended shortly after that. Jason left, looking more burdened than when he'd arrived, and I wondered if I'd said too much, pushed too hard. But someone had to tell him the truth. 3 weeks later, Jason called. "Mom, can I come over? I need to talk." He arrived looking haggard, like he hadn't slept in days. We sat in my living room, the same room where he'd played as a child, where his father had taught him to play chess, where we'd celebrated Christmases and birthdays. I asked Amanda to go to couples counseling. What did she say? She said if I thought our marriage needed counseling, I was the one with the problem. That she's done everything right, followed all the research, set healthy boundaries, and if I can't appreciate that, maybe I should go to individual therapy to work on my issues. That's not how partnership works, Jason. I know. His voice cracked. I know it's not. And I'm so tired, Mom. I'm so tired of being told I'm wrong about everything. How I load the dishwasher, how I play with Oliver, how I talk to him. Everything I do naturally is incorrect according to Amanda's research. What do you want to do? I don't know. I love Oliver so much. When Amanda's at her influencer events or doing photo shoots, and it's just me and him, everything feels right. He's happy. I'm happy. We play and laugh and just exist together. But the second Amanda comes home, I'm back to being monitored. Did I follow the schedule? Did I use approved language? Did I document his diaper changes on the app? You're documenting diaper changes on an app? For tracking purposes? Amanda needs data on everything. Sleep patterns, feeding amounts, diaper frequency. She's creating what she calls an evidence-based childhood. It sounded like a prison sentence. Jason, I can't make this decision for you, but I can tell you that you deserve better than this. Oliver deserves a father who's confident and joyful, not anxious and second-guessing himself constantly. And Amanda deserves honesty, even if that honesty is you saying, this isn't working for me. If I leave, she'll destroy me. She has hundreds of thousands of followers. She'll post about the abandonment, the betrayal, She'll make me look like the villain. Let her. The people who know you will know the truth. And Jason, even if the whole internet thinks you're the bad guy, you'll know you chose your mental health and your son's well-being. That's what matters." He left without making any decisions, but something had shifted. For the first time, Jason was questioning the reality Amanda had constructed, seeing the cracks in the perfect facade. A month later, Jason moved out. He didn't leave dramatically. No big confrontation, no ultimatum. He just told Amanda he needed space, that he was moving into his own apartment temporarily while he figured things out. Amanda's response was swift and brutal. She posted a tearful Instagram video about her husband abandoning her and their baby during Oliver's crucial first year, about how she dedicated herself to being the perfect wife and mother, and he'd repaid her by walking out. The comments flooded in support for Amanda, condemnation for Jason. She also filed for a temporary custody order, citing Jason's unstable mental state and arguing that Oliver needed consistency and routine, which only she could provide. The court granted her primary custody, with Jason getting supervised visitation every other weekend. Supervised visitation, for a father who'd never been anything but loving and present. Jason was devastated, but also, in a strange way, relieved. "The supervised visits are actually better than living there," he told me. "The supervisor doesn't enforce Amanda's rules. I can just be Oliver's dad for those few hours." Over the next year, Jason fought for equal custody. It was ugly. Amanda presented her carefully curated evidence, the nanny cam footage, her detailed logs of Oliver's care, testimonials from her followers about her dedication to gentle parenting. She painted Jason as unstable, unsupportive, possibly dangerous. But Jason's lawyer was smart. He subpoenaed Amanda's first custody case, got Patricia to testify about the pattern of control, found Amanda's online posts where she discussed cutting off toxic people with a fervor that looked less like healthy boundaries and more like something darker. The judge didn't give Jason full custody, but he didn't give Amanda full custody either. They settled on 50/50 shared custody, with neither parent allowed to make unilateral decisions about Oliver's education, health care, or well-being. Amanda was furious. She posted about the broken family court system that prioritized fathers' rights over children's safety. But the court had seen through her performance. They'd recognized that her control issues, not Jason's parenting, were the real concern. Through all of this, I remained on the outside. I saw Jason regularly weekly now, not monthly. He was healing, slowly becoming himself again. But I still hadn't seen Oliver since that day I'd rocked him to sleep and sung him a lullaby. "Can I see him during your custody time?" I'd asked Jason once. "Mom, I want that." But Amanda would use it against me in court. She'd say, "I'm exposing Oliver to people who don't respect her boundaries. I can't risk losing the custody I have." So I waited. I sent birthday presents through Jason, never knowing if Oliver received them. I wrote letters that Jason promised to give Oliver when he's older, when he can understand. I existed in my grandson's life as a ghost, present but invisible. Now, 2 years after that March day when I first held Oliver, 2 years after the 47-page contract and the viral video and the choice I made to preserve my dignity, I'm sitting here telling you this story. Oliver is 2 years old. I've seen recent photos Jason shows me on his phone during our lunches. Oliver has Jason's eyes and smile. He's talking now, running, exploring the world with that fearless curiosity toddlers have. Jason has been dating someone new, a kind, normal woman named Rachel, who thinks 47-page grandparent contracts are insane. They're taking things slow, but Jason seems happy in a way he never was with Amanda. Amanda's Instagram following has grown to over 1 million. She's monetized Oliver's childhood, turning his milestones into sponsored content. She's published a book on conscious parenting and does speaking tours. She's made a career out of the control issues she refuses to acknowledge. And me? I volunteer at the library. I have coffee with Eleanor and my other friends. I take art classes and go to movies and live my life. I'm not waiting by the phone anymore, not checking Amanda's Instagram obsessively, not letting the grief consume me. But I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt. Every holiday, every birthday, every milestone I'm missing, it hurts. Mother's Day is the worst. I see other grandmothers posting photos with their grandchildren, talking about family brunches and handmade cards, and I feel the absence like a physical ache. Sometimes people ask me if I regret my decision, if I wish I'd just taken the class, signed the contract, done whatever Amanda wanted so I could be part of Oliver's life. And honestly, some days, yes. Some days I think I was stubborn and prideful, that I should have bent more, tried harder, sacrificed more. But most days, I know I made the right choice. Because what Amanda wanted wasn't a grandmother for Oliver. She wanted a supporting actor in her perfectly curated production, someone who'd follow her script without question, validate her control as loving parenting, and disappear the moment she didn't meet the ever-changing standards. I couldn't be that person. I couldn't teach Oliver that love means accepting abuse, that family means sacrificing your dignity, that relationships are about one person controlling another. So I walked away, and I stay away, even though it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Patricia and I talk regularly now. We formed our own support group, Grandmothers in Exile, loving grandchildren we'll probably never meet. We share our grief, validate each other's pain, remind each other that we're not crazy, that what was asked of us was unreasonable. Sometimes we talk about the future, about Oliver and Lucas growing up, becoming teenagers, maybe seeking us out someday, about them asking questions that Amanda's carefully constructed narrative won't answer, about the possibility of reunion, of repair, of relationship built on truth instead of control. It's a small hope, maybe a foolish one, but it's what we have. Jason tells me that during his custody time, he talks to Oliver about me, shows him photos, says, "This is your Grandma Susan. She loves you very much and can't wait to meet you properly someday." Oliver is too young to understand now, but maybe someday he'll ask why Grandma Susan isn't around. And maybe Jason will tell him the truth, not Amanda's version where I was toxic and chose to leave, but the real truth about contracts and control and a grandmother who loved him too much to participate in her own dehumanization. Or maybe he won't. Maybe Oliver will grow up believing Amanda's story, seeing me as the villain, if he thinks of me at all. I don't know which future I'm living toward, but I know I can live with myself. I know I maintained my integrity. I know that I loved Oliver the best way I could. By refusing to model that love means accepting unacceptable treatment. If you're watching this and you're going through something similar, whether you're the grandparent being frozen out, or the parent setting boundaries, or the child caught in the middle, I want you to know something. Boundaries are healthy. Parents absolutely have the right to make decisions about their children's care. But there's a difference between reasonable boundaries and control masquerading as protection. There's a difference between protecting your child and using your child as a weapon to punish people who don't submit to your authority. And if you're the one being asked to sign contracts, take classes, prove your worth, accept public humiliation, and fundamentally change who you are to have a relationship with your grandchild, you're not wrong to question whether that's a relationship worth having on those terms. I miss Oliver every single day. I love him more than I can express. But I also love myself enough not to accept abuse in the name of that love. Maybe that makes me a bad grandmother. Maybe someday, Oliver will agree with Amanda that I chose pride over relationship. Or maybe someday, he'll understand that the grandmother who wasn't there taught him something important, that love should never cost you your dignity. And that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to participate in a system designed to break you. I don't know how this story ends. I'm still living it, still grieving it, still hoping against hope that someday, somehow, Oliver and I will have a real relationship built on mutual respect instead of contracts and surveillance and control. Until then, I'm here, living my life, loving my son from a distance, and keeping space in my heart for a grandson I may never really know. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, am I wrong? Should I have just taken the class? Or do you understand why I couldn't? I genuinely want to know. Because 2 years later, I'm still not entirely sure I made the right choice. All I know is that it was the only choice I could live with. My name is Susan Caldwell. I'm 67 years old. And I'm a grandmother who's never really been allowed to be one. Thank you for being here. Now tell me, what would you have done if you were in their place? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share them with me in the comments below. On the screen, you can see 2 more life stories I strongly recommend. There are many more waiting on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story.